are you guys? So excited to see you. Hello. Hi, Muraid. How are you? Ooh, I nearly didn't make it. I had some, let's just call them issues. But everything's good. Everything's working now. So I'm very happy about that. Yeah, everything's perfect now. How are you guys? Good afternoon to everybody. Hello, Typhoon. Hello, Viridis. Hello, Kiwi of Isaac. A pleasure having you all here as every Monday. Whew. Boy, let me tell you, this was a rushed opening. Hello, Claire. How about you guys? I am not going to report how the weather is because I am not meteorological station. But if you're clever enough, you can see that if I am here in the corner, guess what I am hiding from? Just gonna leave it like that. Hi everybody, welcome to this Twitch session where we're going to discuss some of the most inspiring and nice aspects of medieval Iran, which is what I do. I wouldn't say for a living, professionally. Let me say professionally. So yeah, first and foremost, thank you so much to all the people that I saw they followed as I was offline. Also the people who subscribed either via Amazon Prime or just as regular Twitch subscription. Thank you so much for your support. And let me remind you, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you need to renew your subscription if you are willing to support me another month. I will actually value that a lot. Give it a thought, consider it. No pressure here. I love you the same. And also thank you so much to my patrons who have been a little bit high up this time. I want to welcome to the family Nadim and Juanje, who are the latest incorporation to my patron family. Thank you so much to the previous one. Thank you so much to people who contribute. To the people who contribute to make me sitting here as I am to talk to you about certain matters, certain affairs. Oh. Today in my Skull mug we are drinking strawberry lemonade, but I didn't cool this one down because if you remember the last time I made this, I kind of messed up with it because I let it steep for too long. So I was actually timing this one up, and the ingredients are apple pieces, hibiscus. Let me recite them again. Apple pieces, hibiscus, rosehip, elderberries, lime leaves, of course strawberry pieces, and orange zest. And I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting one ingredient, but you know, if you actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know the ingredients of my tea are always up here. So yeah, that is not much of a problem. the teas of authors, the teas of my students I am drinking. I saw a bottle on the internet that was labeled like that, teas of my students. I don't want to drink the teas of my students. My students are very nice. But yeah. Okay guys, this afternoon we will be discussing magic, as in magical practices in medieval Iran. Why do I say Iran and I do not say Persia? It's a preference. It's a choice I made. If you want me to discuss, I can maybe in some other occasion talk about this further, but I feel more comfortable saying Iran than Persia because I don't like the connotations the Persia name has. It's not wrong. Of course, it's not incorrect, but yeah, personal choices, preference, and also the people who actually work on the Iranian milieu use more Iran or Iranian influence area than we use Persia. So because I tell give you like antique, it makes like a bit of a throwback, a comeback. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I use Iran. Again, if you want me to discuss this further, just let me know. But yeah, we're going to be talking about magic in what I coined medieval Iran, but that is not actually, it's not precise. I wasn't specific when I advertised streaming because first things first, you know, always the most important part, or at least one of the fundamental parts I deem to be in research or in any kind of article, stream, or just public talk, is defining time and space. So what is that I consider medieval Iran? quote unquote. So if you're familiar with the history of Iran and the history of the Islamic religion, you would know that Islam arrived in Iran, or at least in Iranian lands, between 645 and 650. But I am going to flash forward a bit in time because I want to dig deeper into the Zoroastrian / pre-Islamic first centuries of Islam content in some other stream. So as a starting point, I am choosing 1010, which is the date of the completion of the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings, which you are gonna hear me recite and mention a lot in this stream. And you may ask yourself, why? Why is she choosing this date? Well, because actually sources on the study of magic are far better attested from the 11th century onwards, and also because I want to. I just want to. I like that date. There's not much to it. So in this stream, we'll be covering the magical phenomena attested, or what was considered magical, between 1010 to the arrival of the Safavid dynasty, which is 1520. I am not dealing with Safavid or the so-called modern history in Iran today. We can do that some other time. So, as I was saying, also very important, I know that you enjoy hearing me speaking quite a lot, but you know the drill. If at any point you have a question, put it on the chat box. I cannot respond to every single comment you guys make, but I do my best to answer all your questions. So do that, and when I make a pause, I will look through it and I will try my best to answer your inquiries. So moving on, what is that we consider magic in an Islamic context? So technically speaking, magic is the art of influencing the course of events through the occult control of natural phenomena. And how does this happen? With the use of rituals and performances acquired by the study of a corpus of esoteric knowledge. Normally, these would be kept either in common society's culture and transmitted via either oral or written traditions. And in theory, this is enough to obtain results you could otherwise not have reached in, say, ordinary ways. It is important to note that magic, medicine, and superstition have been powerfully related until very, very recent in history, so do not be surprised if we intertwine them quite often through the session, because they are. At some point, they are completely inseparable. So in Iran, we have two types of magic, at least two types of assisted magic, and a bonus. We have a plus thing. So the first one is what we call magic of similarity. And this is the magic through you can produce certain effects in objects or in people through imitation. On the other hand, magic of contagion is this magic where everything happens or it's done, everything that happens or it's done to an object that's been in contact with a person, even a piece of that person, it doesn't need to be an object, and do not be shocked with a piece of a person, I am thinking of nails, skin or hair, anything that happens to, again, something that belonged or entered in contact with that person or a piece of that person, anything that happened to that will affect the person somehow. Quick tiny disclaimer here, do not mix this up with voodoo. I know they might seem similar, but the two practices are completely unrelated and separated. Again, there might be some points in common, but this is not considered voodoo. Voodoo belongs to a different cultural area and to different geographical places. So no, it won't be correct to say voodoo in Iran. So we have magic of similarity, and then we have magic of contagion. And then the bonus. So the bonus is superstition. But this could derive in some branches of practical magic. So what do I say superstition? This is because, again, plays a powerful role in Iranian Islamic society of this time. There are many words in Persian for magic as we would consider it in the West. Some of them, for example, are jadoo, afsoon, or seher, but seher is Arabic, although they use it. And they could also be an indicator of witchcraft. But let's pause here for a moment. Witchcraft, as in the witch's deeds, is a European phenomenon that appeared linked to Christianity. So technically, being annoyingly strict, witchcraft can only be considered as such when the activity has to do with the devil in capital letters, with Satan himself. This Satan in his flamenca dress who accompanies me through the struggles of my life and aids me coping with human stupidity. Sometimes. So, in Iran, witchcraft refers to people that contact supernatural forces, mainly those considered evil or obscure. Woo! But that applies for pre-Islamic times, and we will go back to this, so maybe some other day. Let's do a T-pose. Hello. I thought the most powerful magic in Iran was our friendship. Ain't that super sweet? Azizam, Azizatilam. That is very sweet indeed. Let's move into the first. Woo! Here we have it. This is a Quran, by the way, in case you were curious. So let's move into the first type of magic we will be discussing, as in deeply. This is the use of words. We're going to talk about the Quran because its role in magical practices, let me tell you, is fundamental. It's very, very important. And this is because the Quran contains the language of revelation, which is Arabic for Muslims. The usage of recitation, just to recite the Quran, is a widespread activity for magical purposes, and here we have some influences from the Far East. The mantra repetition, the power of repeating certain formulas over and over and over. Zarathustra was supposed to do this already back in his time, but again, not dealing with Zarathustra today. And I don't know if this is... I don't know if this is required to tell you, but in my Quran, I have two of them, and one is in my office right now because, yes, I own a Quran and I own a Bible and some Chinese sacred texts. I am trying to get myself a nice copy of the Avestan text because this is what I do. So yeah, I do have a lot of sacred texts, and maybe one day I will have them. Oh, I want it all. Is that by Queen? Is that a Queen song? Let me know. I was saying, words are important, but not just recited words, also spoken words. However, in order to obtain the best results, words need to be written down. And this gives us a hint about the importance of writing in Iranian/Muslim societies. I said the language of revelation was Arabic, and somehow that is true, but however, Persian is used in the same ways in magic. And the name for this written magic, this written word magic is, again, afsoon, ta'weed, or herz. I think herz is Arabic. Let me think of it for a second. Yeah, herz is Arabic. So the use of magic of something operative and real in the world is acknowledged in the Quran. The Basmala, for example, which is the opening verses of the book, contains magical properties itself, and it is basically reciting the name of God. It goes, and I'm gonna do my best because my Arabic is a little bit rusty, but I am gonna do my best. It says Bismillah ir-Rahman ir-Rahim, which means in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Some verses of the Quran themselves are believed to hold healing properties, or even to hold the power to compel people into some actions or behaviors. And two of the most important surahs are passages of the Quran, like chapters, we could say. And some of the most important surahs are Surah 113 and Surah 114, which are the daybreak, Surah Al-Falaq, and the people, Surah Al-Nafs. Surah 113 is possibly my favorite, and I am going to read it out loud to you, but in English. My Arabic is not that great. And again, because I cannot access my personal Quran, the translation is by Sahih International. I searched up for these in a website that is called Quran Online. I'm gonna take a sip first, just to clear my throat and make myself ready for recitation. And Surah 113, Surah Al-Falaq, goes like this. Say, I refuge in the Lord of daybreak, from the evil of that which he created, and from the evil of darkness when it settles, and from the evil of blowers in knots, and from the evil of an envious when they envy. This is powerful to read. So, just as a very superficial approach, very light stepping, Surah 113 serves to prevent something extremely spread in medieval societies, which is the bad eye. Like, mar de ojo, we say in Spanish. Believe me, but I am Spanish and I know how dangerous this could be. Now, we joke a lot around this. Back in the day, especially in... Oh, what was that? Amoxibus, thank you for the follow. Oh, I'm really sorry you couldn't see the genie dancing, but you guys have watched Aladdin. And if you haven't watched Aladdin, the animated film, go watch it. It is fantastic. So yeah, the genie is just celebrating the follow. Thank you so much. What was I in? Oh yeah, I was talking about the bad eye. I said that nowadays we joke around this a lot, but especially in Oriental societies, in Oriental cultures, the matter of the name, of your name and the name of your family was serious business. Very serious. Names ought to be protected. Basically because your name was linked to your father's, and this one to your grandfather's, and to your great-grandfather's, and so, and so, and so, and so, and so, and so. To the whole of your ancestry, to keep it short. So if someone dares to curse in a demonic language over your name, you can prepare yourself for quite an unpleasant ride. And this is highly contagious, like corona. So if you go home and you leave it there, then your partner catches it and your kids catch it, and basically everybody is by the end of the afternoon. So yeah, it spreads quite quickly. And but I was not really planning on telling you this, but why not? But I could be cast in two ways. Intentionally, when somebody is actually thinking it through and throws the enchantment, or unintentionally, when, okay, have you ever walked barefoot and mercilessly crushed your pinky toe against a door, a corner of a table, something? Have you not cursed in even languages that you didn't know you could speak, then opened your mouth and liberating a shriek that is not even human, is a Nazgul shriek, like this is the same howl of the legions of Satan when they gather to get smashed on alcohol. That kind of burning feeling in your chest, in your throat, in your tongue. This way you can curse somebody too. If you throw the anger against them in that moment, they're doomed. They're completely. So yeah, that's. Please do not curse when you hit yourself in the pinky toe. I know it's painful, I know, but please just don't do it. Don't go spreading bad eye unintentionally. There are whole books on the magical properties of Quranic verses, because even the Prophet was under the effect of magic at some point, and he healed thanks to the power of recitation. A curiosity on the name of the Prophet, is Muhammad, and sometimes when the Muslims recite and mention his name, they say peace be with him or peace upon his name, and they say it super quick. It is impressive. So yeah, again, this is what you need to understand. Words are powerful. In the Shahnameh, because it's been too long since I mentioned it, in the Shahnameh, Qais Khosrow, who is a king and a warrior, there is this king who used this kind of magic for military purposes. And there was a city, dramatic pause. So, there was a city of demons that he was determined to subdue. And it was not just that the city was inhabited by demons. All the structures were supposed to be the demons' work as well. So the wall was impenetrable. But Khosrow persevered. He wrote an enchantment on the wall. We do not know if he wrote it on paper and then it stuck onto the wall, or if he made a big graffiti-like writing over the bricks. The poem does not specify. But the thing is, after the enchantment was placed, there was a crack that opened the wall, like boom, before the eyes of Khosrow, who was even more surprised than his soldiers, who were all so motivated that you can imagine they won. Of course they won. Oh yeah, relatable. Yes, it is very, very relatable. Happened to me the other day, but I didn't smash my pinky against anything. I smashed my thumb against my window because I'm dumb. That's basically it. So Aaron says that seems like a continuum in the Middle East, which are so very important in Jewish culture too. Hence, the name of God, is not pronounced. For example, it is actually the power of words is something that comes from the very Orient, because in China, Japan, India, Central Asia, it is also fundamental. The power of what people believed the written word and the spoken word had. And this is probably linked to some animism or some shamanic cults back in the day, like very, very back in the day, where people used to communicate with natural forces through speaking the languages. Have you guys read The Jungle Book? The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling, who the motion picture is based on. So in The Jungle Book, Mowgli communicates with the animals by speaking the language, so there's like a hint towards shamanism over there. So yeah, it's very nice to just the power of words is something that is worth studying so much, like so much. So for the purpose of these stream, I selected two types of magic that are described in texts from medieval Iran, like texts that were written in what we consider the Middle Ages. The first one, I'm gonna put up the image because I really like it. You know that I like introducing you to images that I work with. Normally dealing with manuscripts is my thing, and people who know me from before already know this one. Aha! I really like this image so much. I will tell you about it in just a brief secondo. I don't speak Italian. Well, Laura, focus. So, the first type of magic we're going to talk about. What happened there? Let's rewind. The first type of magic we're going to talk about is what is described as high magic. Higher magic. This is a kind of magic that is almost inseparable from the way of doing science in the Near East during medieval centuries. I am talking about alchemy, numerology, astral magic, and the practice of omen sighting. This is the magic that is related to philosophy, to the study of the universe, of how nature and the world we live in work. And this is a taught magic, a magic that must be studied and is transmitted through texts that we would consider formal. There is a systematized study behind, or at least they try to make it systematized. And this was extremely popular, let me tell you. This image I am showing you here, I'm really sorry to disappoint you, but it is not an alchemist's laboratory, and this is not a place of a potion maker. Well, actually, that one could be correct because this is a pharmacy. This illustration belongs to the Risalat Dawat Al-Atiba, and I really like it. Is the depiction of a pharmacy. It's just the physician and the customer chatting a little bit. It is difficult, as I was saying, separating this kind of magic from what we consider science nowadays, especially the astral and sky observation-based magic, because the sighting of stars, of planets, the study of the night sky was extremely popular, and it was very recurrent, not just in Iran at this point, but you know, the Mesopotamia and Iranian lands had a tradition before, like the Babylonians, the Akkadians, the Sumerians, and Elamites. Like it's impressive. Thank you. Thank you for that. And again, the example I'm going to be talking about is omen sighting. Do you know what omen sighting is? This is the art of predicting the future based on, in this case, the stars, the position of the sky, the position of the moon, the sun, and other celestial bodies. So predictions are fundamental, fundamental for the Iranian societies, and if I am strict, for the whole Near East actually, and they condition every decision you could possibly make, from something as simple as getting a haircut or having a bath, I'm not kidding, to diplomatic resolutions, war declarations, or marches into battle. The study of the sky is fundamental. I cannot stress this enough. The amount of astronomical treatises that are in this time in Iran is amazing. I think I'm going to dedicate just a live stream to that because it's fascinating. The sky fascinating these people back in the day even. And yeah, not only in the Near East but also in the Far East, which I am working on for my thesis, the study of the sky in China. And maybe one day I will tell you about that. Maybe. It's a little bit unrelated but related. So also, you need to bear in mind that every court in Iran had their own corpus of astrologers, interpreters of dreams, scientists. It was huge. It was a huge phenomenon. Let me, again, just remember this. Oh, I see there's a question over there. Until what period was the reading of interesting stopped being used? So in Iran, for example, I don't know about other areas because, you know, I just mainly work with Iran, but in Iranian areas, apparently in Zoroastrianism was not done much. They used prediction, the omen sighting was done with the study of the sky more than reading the entrails of animals. And I know, I'm almost sure, because I'm citing by memory, but I'm almost sure in Islam it's not very nice to do that. It's not that it's punished, but it's not encouraged either. It's not a nice practice to do. They do not consider it fundamental because, again, the words of the poets, the words of the prophet, the hadith, were the things used to predict the future instead of dead animal bodies. So yeah, I would say if I need to give a date, I prevent myself from giving dates because I cannot be really specific. It was no, don't get me wrong. It was done in Iran in earlier societies. It was definitely done. It was not even because it was considered paganism, because it was just not. It's at some point they just stopped using it, but we cannot ever be sure because we do not control the whole of history as it evolves. Possibly some people still did it. Possibly some people condemned it. Possibly some people just find it disgusting. I actually don't know, but it's not a popular thing. It would, from what we see in sources, it's not a popular thing in medieval Iran anymore, and it's not a popular thing with the Sasanians either. So I would go back to not count myself. I would go back to the Arsacids or to the Achaemenids, more or less. I will look into that, and if you want to, I can do a whole stream about that. Again, just throw me your ideas. Throw them at me, but please avoid my head. I am wearing glasses and I need to finish my thesis, so not hits in the head. I am hitting myself already so much. No worries. Very pleased to help you. So I spoke about these. What we were talking about was high magic, the scientific magic, which I like calling. Then we have the traditional magic. And the main difference is for one kind of magic, which is a higher, you need to be taught, as in taught. But this one, the traditional magic, you have to be trained. These one you have to be trained for. So you must find yourself a teacher, a master, a sensei, a murshid. My patrons here know already what this is. And this is normally transmitted orally, and it is much more practical than the previous one, much more. And also it's normally associated with lower levels of society. However, reality is much more complex than that. These two areas, higher and traditional magic, intertwine in such ways that often it's very difficult to state where one finishes and the other starts, and they could be used combined, mixed in a wide variety of ways. High and traditional magic are the types of magic that are allowed, and this is important. These types of magic are the ones allowed and not condemned by societies or by religions. But now, is there a bad kind of magic? The dramatic poses. Is there a magic that could be considered obscure, dark, negative, evil? Well, of course it is. This is why I'm here on the first place. Of course it is. May I introduce you to two lovely fellas? Say hello, guys. I really like this too. May I introduce you right now, right here, to the hanging fellas, Harut and Marut. We'll talk about them in just a second. So, traditional magic was susceptible of being tagged as negative practice, as a no-no kind of magic. And since you have to learn it from somebody, who could this be? Well, dark magic comes, for example, from fallen angels. Harut and Marut were two angels who thought all the heavenly structure and just the order of things wasn't cut for them, so God trapped them and hung them by their feet in a well in Babylon. So yeah, these two are angels. There's many depictions of Harut and Marut hanging from the Babylonian well, but I chose this particular one because it shows the wings. So yeah, magic can be taught by angels. I really like this too. I really like this manuscript as a whole, but I really like these ones. It's impressive. And also, let's just look at another one over here. I love this illustration. Like, you have no idea. So, who else could teach you magic? I'm gonna leave you a couple of minutes so you guys throw me your answers. Who is this character? Who is this character? The one in darker skin? Throw me your answers. I want to know them.
Kiwi, these flaming thing, the flaming whales with the eyes, that is from Christian angelology. Those are the seraphim, and we don't have them in Islam. But yeah, seraphims are badasses, and if you don't know what a seraphim is, I really recommend you to look it up because they are amazing.
Sorry. Saint Michael. How is this Michael? Like, sorry. How is this Michael? Come on, guys. Who do you think this character could be? I know I should wait for the answers, but I just can't, so I'm going to tell you. So this one over here, this one in darker skin is Satan. I mean it. This is Satan himself. This is Iblis. Iblis, who was an angel, but he was the only angel to refuse to bow to Adam when God created humans. So this is the reason I chose this manuscript to show you. Let's just go back. Let's just travel in time. When God created all angels, when he finishes creating the world, and again, this is from Islam. I am talking about Islam, but you will find, connections with another religions or the book because, well, they exist. So this is the moment where God created humans, and not just humans, he created Adam, who is the one standing in the throne over here. Is that guy in the blue robe with a crown. And when God created Adam, he ordered the angels to bow to Adam. Not just angels, the whole creation, animal, plants. Do you see the tree? Do you see the tree that's bowing? It's like inclining forward, like leaning forward. It is, I love this. I love this illustration so much. This is the amazing world of manuscripts that I work with. What do you guys think? So, the whole creation bowed to Adam and recognized him as the higher being, as the ultimate boom of creation. However, Iblis, who is the Arabic/Islamic name for Satan, refused to do so. So God, who was not playing games, just grabbed Iblis, kicked it out of heaven, and made him a fallen angel. And in the falling, he suddenly burst into flames, and his skin got completely burned and consumed like ashes. This is the reason he looks like this. And also, I don't know if you can see it, because in my screen it's pretty tiny, but over here, just above his head, you could read Shaitan, who is Satan in Arabic. So yeah, he could teach you magic too. Not just angels, but also demons. Oh, this is amazing. It is amazing. So, yeah, you could learn magic from demons. You could learn magic from angels. You could learn magic from revelations in dreams if God appeared to you and teach you something. Yeah, exactly, Typhoon, Shaitan. And I know, right? It's so cool. I'm so driven right now. I really enjoy bringing topics that I like a lot. So there was a lot of ways of learning magic from the supernatural. And so when I say, this is something important because I need to make this commentary. When I say that traditional magic has to be learned, I mean in a primordial way. Somebody needs to be in contact with the supernatural, be it demons or angels, and learn from them in order to be able to pass their knowledge to coming generations of students. But a sorcerer or a magician that's been trained already can train other people too. Magic does not just reach humans. This is not by itself. It is, at least in Iran, and the concept of somebody having powers does not apply. It just doesn't exist. It's not that you realize you have magical powers inside you, but somebody has taught you how to modify and manipulate the surroundings in your favor. And this source needs to be supernatural. And many of the mythical kings, have I mentioned the Book of Kings already? Many of the mythical kings are so powerful sorcerers, both for good and bad. Some examples could be Tahmurad, who is an early king that managed to subdue the Black Deep, or Zohag. However, Zohag, sorry, I lost it a little bit. However, Tahmurad is a yes, and Zohag is a no. And why is that? Oh, I see there's a question. Hold on for a moment. Would all magic from demons be bad and all magic from angels be good? That is exactly what I'm going to talk about. That's a very good question, Lucas. That's exactly what I'm going to cover in a second. So in Islam, there is a fundamental concept of duality. That is a key word, duality. And Iran is no different in this way. In the Shahnameh, for example, the characters that use magic but are Iranian are considered good. The foreign characters, however, that also use magic are considered evil. Zohag was Arab and Tahmurad was Iranian. So, see the difference? It really depends on a number of factors. Not only who is using the magic, but also for what purposes, in which ways. Everything could vary. You could use the magic taught by an angel for bad, but you could use the magic taught by a demon for good. This is unlikely, but it happens in some poems and in some stories that somebody is kind of possessed or taught by a demon, and in the end they redeem themselves by doing the right thing. It can happen. There is a story I really like, and I could tell it to you one day. Let me know. It's called Samake Ayar, sorry. This is the story of a prince who, surprise, surprise, falls in love with a princess, and in the course of his adventures to reach her, the prince meets Samak, a vagabond and traveler, which is also a warrior, almost like a Japanese Ronin, so to speak, and they become close friends. In this poem, all magic, absolutely all magic, is considered negative and sinful. In fact, all the characters that make use of magic are described as stinky and ugly. It is quite fun though. Even the parries are described as horrendous. Do you guys know what parries are? Spelled like Paris, the city. But do you know what parries are? Poor Merlin. Do this, Merlin. Do that, Merlin. But yeah, poor Merlin. Merlin will be very screwed in this poem. Like winged things? Yes. So parries are, I'm not going to use the term fairies because I despise that, and fairies belong to a completely different context. But parries are spirits, winged spirits that are known for their beauty. They don't have a particular gender. They are not specified to be any gender. And what they do is just mess around with humans to annoy them, to torment them, you know, in a quite variety of ways. And they are represented as very, very handsome creatures. But even then, in this poem, are very, very ugly and stinky. So I was saying that in this poem, in the Samake Ayar, all magic is considered to be evil, sinful. However, Samak learns various spells, or one for chasing away snakes, another one for summoning snakes. So when he uses magic, he's not judged nor considered a negative character because he's the protagonist, basically. So it really, really depends. That is basically the idea. What is that, Amoxibos? Hundreds of videos of exorcism in Islam, detailed explanation on how to reverse that what magicians did. Ooh, it sounds interesting. I mean, I am not like exactly interested in modern times, but yeah, there's a couple of little texts on exorcisms in Islam, which I didn't include them here because it's not exactly what I wanted to talk about, but definitely I will have a look. Thank you for the recommendation. And yeah, okay, let's move on. So I'm enjoying this stream, like you have no idea. Something super cool about magic in medieval Iran, or at least in Islamic tradition, because it's very complicated to state which tradition comes from where, and in the end everything is a super big mixture of influences. Do not be fooled, there is no such thing, there is no entertainment in purity, and something to be in purely something. No, mixtures are the thing. Something extremely cool is that in Iran, you blow your magic physically from your fist, like you do that. And this is because of the previously mentioned power of words, but also the power of life spirit, of breathing that grants us life, which is called ruh. Sometimes you can blow your spell through a fist that is full of soil, like, and you send them. And also sometimes sorcerers are so powerful that they keep their magical energy in an external object, like contained in that object. In Samake Ayar, for example, there is a black banner, but more commonly there were elements you could find in nature, like a branch of a special plant, a special rock or crystal. And if that object breaks, magic is over. Just over. Yeah. It's close. The switch is all pew. And this is the reason for magicians to hide their talismans in remote places, like the depths of the ocean or the peak of really high mountains. They were very careful with this, let me tell you. I'm gonna finish my tea now. So, if we are talking about magic in Islamic context, we need to mention these spirits. They are called jinns in Arabic and divs in Persian. I can't spend hours speaking about them, but maybe some other time. These are spirits that can be summoned. And if they are in the mood, they can work for people in different ways. Let me emphasize, if they are in the mood, if they are in the mood part, very, very important for them to be in the mood. And I'm going to show you something. That story is post-Islam, right? Because the image of the black banner stands out to me. Yeah, that black is considered to be one of the sacred colors. It's very important, the color black. Although I know technically black is not a color, was considered a color, but it's very important for Islamic tradition. It was the color of the Abbasid Caliphate. So yeah, it's just a tiny banner with black fabric. I'm gonna show you these friend over here. This is such an important image for me. This is the Red Demon King, also known by his name Ahmar, which means red in Arabic. This is a manuscript called BNF Persan 174, a book that I had the privilege to see live and even flip some pages. This is, I'm just gonna tell you this story. So as I mentioned, is in the BNF, is in the National Library of France. And on my first year of my PhD, there was this conference about this book, who was very mysterious. We don't know exactly what it is. And Typhoon is just getting excited. And the book contains a lot of very strange images and very strange symbols we are still trying to decipher. But basically we can talk about a magic book. Yeah, a book of magic, just a book of magical instructions with these demons in there. So they called my supervisor, who is a very big expert in Islamic Persian manuscripts, and she mentioned that I was working with something similar because in these manuscripts there is an image of the mountain where Simur lives. One of the mountains she was thought to live. So we went there. The library also invited me to a conference, which was amazing from them, and I'm very much I'm very glad they did. Much appreciated from here. So I could see this one live, and let me tell you, it is tiny. It's like this big, and I even flipped some pages of it, and it's full of magical formula. It's full of magical descriptions. It even has instructions on how to summon these demons, these particular ones, to just ask them favors. It is impressive. It's one of the most beautiful things I've been able to see live, and I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, this is very important because magic can be used as summoning. The summoning magic is super important, and not only these kind of books could be used as summoning, but another source is poetry. Manu Sheri, which is a poet, says you can summon dragons with poetry, which you really do not want to do. Trust me. Iranian dragons are not nice. They are not things you want to have in your kitchen. They're not nice pets. They're just not nice. Another poet, who is Asadi, says poetry can create illusions, like making things appear or disappear. And Nasser Khosrow says you can change the color of crows. And Bayhaqi, this one's difficult, says you can turn humans into animals, and vice versa. We're gonna see another one. If this is the Red King, I'm gonna show you the blue one now. I'm just gonna fangirl over these illustrations a little bit. In total, there's 8 demon lords, and each one of them has some special properties. So for example, if I'm not mistaken, this one, I do not remember the name exactly, but I remember he is linked to love and to women. So he's our friend. And if you are curious, these characters that are like just sketched next to his throne, this very funky cone pyramidal head fella, and these one with a, I'm gonna say helmet, but it could be a bonnet, I actually don't know. These are the Demon's Lord assistants. Because yeah, they are just the assistants. I really like this manuscript, guys. So generally speaking, high demons have negative powers, but you can see they could be, again, the duality. The power of these demons could be summoned for good, or yeah, they were actually encouraged to be summoned. But yeah, as I was saying, generally, high demons and characters considered negative hold control over the weather, mainly. They can summon cold, heat, darkness, or storms. Like, for example, Diva Sepid, the great white the great white demon from the Book of Kings. Let me tell you, he badass. He badass. The king of Yemen, who is also a bad character in the Shahnameh, attempts to kill the kids of one of the kings, who is Fereydun, while they sleep with a very cold wave. And there's a Turkish wizard that summons a blizzard against the Iranian armies. And another king musters his sorcerers, and this is metal. They make a mixture of cloud, smoke, and fire to create a storm that rains arrows on the Iranians. How cool is that? And faith, this is a very important thing to comment. Faith and the ability to believe also play a major role in the magic topics, and this is because faith is fundamental to make things happen. This sounds a little bit strange. Let me explain to you. This goes both ways. In more than one occasion, the Iranian heroes spur their soldiers on to not pay attention to the magical attacks they are receiving, and when they stop believing in these attacks, they somehow lose efficiency. And on the other hand, if you believe there is a higher protection put above you that is going to make things good for you, it's going to provide a good outcome and also be protecting you in battle, especially in this case, your attitude also changes. Normally it's the power of God that I am referring to. Oh, is that? This is fun to study, but if you play, you will suffer. I just studied them. I do not attempt to use any of this. I'm a scholar. I live for knowledge. Oh, if you guys see me going redder and redder, it's become a nice tomato, is because it's very warm in here. Where did my clouds go? Just saying. All right, let's move on. So we mentioned summoning magic, but we're gonna deal now with transformation magic. This is the all-time favorite in Iranian tradition, and again, depending on who uses it, can be considered positive or negative. Duality, ain't it fantastic? Once more, the best source for these magical practices is the Shahnameh. I'm not doing this on purpose. It's just what it is. So Fereydun, who is a king we already mentioned, turns himself into a dragon to teach his kids a lesson and scare them away, because parenting in Iranian epic. And then the king of Mazandaran, this one's negative, turns himself first into a boulder and then into a cloud. And there are, in the Shahnameh, the so-called witches who transform themselves into beautiful girls to just seduce heroes or tempt them or lead them into some disaster. But they go back to their hideous real looks after the heroes, especially Rostam and Esfandiar, which are like the main protagonists, summon the name of God or the magical recitation. See? The power of words. Words are powerful. Not only people could be transformed, objects could be transformed too. There's a Jewish magician that turns milk into poison, for example. And a very famous witch appears in the Humaynameh, which is a story of Humay. And Humay is a character I am particularly fond of. As a side note, I don't know why you had to know this, but yeah. So the witch falls in love with Humay, and she goes to him as a beautiful young woman to tempt him. But he's not up for it, so he declines the offer. And you know, in epics, women tend not to deal very well with rejection because epic. So the witch throws a spell to Humay, but Humay protects himself by reciting the name of God, and then the witch comes back several times as a fully equipped warrior on horse, as a lion, as a dragon, as a hailstorm, and then in the end Humay draws his sword, which is just fed up with the shenanigans of the witch, and just cuts her limbs off, and the storm stops. This goes for transformation magic. Now, we're gonna talk about practical magic. I'm gonna give you examples here. So this is actually very, very fun. The first author we have about practical magic is Biruni, Al-Biruni. Biruni heard that emerald hold the power to blind vipers, and if a viper happened to glance upon an emerald, its pupils will burst, like pow. Of course, Biruni was a scientist. He was a scholar. He had to prove this. So he collected some vipers and put them inside some boxes that were carved in emerald, and also had inside the walls of the box were covered in emerald, and placed the viper inside. What do you think happened? Nothing. Of course nothing happened, because nothing happened, because this was a superstition. And then Biruni writes down that the only way of blinding a viper with an emerald is carving a needle from said emerald and piercing it through the viper's eyes, because if not, bollocks. Then we have Hobai Telfisi, who said that if you sprinkle some soil from a grave on top of somebody who is sleeping, this will make the person not be able to wake up anymore. And this is contagion magic. I mean, you have the simile between the grave, who is a place where somebody is just leaning dead, and then the person who's sleeping is also leaning. So you sprinkle the earth on top of them, like you sprinkle salt in a salad, they won't be able to wake up anymore. And then there's this Khorasani belief on tea leaves. I cannot show you because I don't have tea leaves, but basically, if you were drinking tea and you finished your glass, if the tea leaves are found suspended vertically in a teacup, just like on a line here, the leaves, they presage the imminent arrival of guests. And the number of guests will be the same as the number of the tea leaves that are suspended vertically. Now, if one is not really in the mood to throw a party or just to be polite to people, a way of preventing the company to show up will be grabbing the suspended tea leaves from the cup and then chewing them. This way the guests will not appear. Because magic in in medieval Iran, sorry. And also there's another text. I'm gonna put it over here. This is the story, Vis or Ramin, who is the story of two people that fell in love but cannot be together. Vis is married, let me wait for a moment. Yeah, Ramin is the boy, Vis is the girl. So Vis is married to Ramin's brother. And Vis and Ramin love each other, but it cannot happen, it cannot be together. And this is a text that gives us a lot of information on traditional and practical magic. So the personal assistant of Vis, who is a woman, a very old woman, she carries out with many magical rituals, and it's really interesting. For example, she knocks down Vis's husband, and like completely, not knocking down as in completely slipped. He's just sleeping, he's not dead. And after, she makes him impotent, incapable of making love to his wife again. And I'm going to tell you how she does that. So the woman models two figurines, one of copper and the other one of bronze, and facing, like, with their backs turned, like with back to back, she ties them down with a string made of iron. After, she goes to the riverbank and buries them. Done, simple. And this spell could be broken if you bring out, just like dig and bring out the figurines and burn the iron thread in the fire. But the river is very savage and just takes the figurines away, and for this reason the husband remains impotent forever. Because again, magic. And last but not least, there is something I want to talk about, which is traditional magic. And in traditional magic, strictly speaking, we have three kinds. We have curative, to heal, preventive, and supplicatory. So curative magic heals either, they are healing types of magic mostly. Again, just remember what I said at first, that magic and medicine are very, very close to each other. So in this case, they can drive away the cause of the illness, they can cure, this is the curative magic, or they can fortify a person against the cause of the illness, preventing. And some examples I'm going to give you. To cure some respiratory infections, which in the text are called bode nasla, but probably is a kind of pulmonary disease, or most likely a cold. Having a cold, catching a cold back in the day was serious business, let me tell you. So you need to get 2 strings of different color and tie 7 knots in them. And these strings, before tying the knots, you measure the patient's height and then you cut them, so they should be the same height as the patient. When you are knotting the knots, when you're tying the knots, certain prayers are blown onto them because magic of the breathing, and then you hang this necklace, these knots on the person's neck, and that makes them feel better. And another one, this is my favorite, I swear. I am not, you know me, if you've been long enough here, you know that I do my research and I check my sources, and nothing that I bring you here is made up or exaggerated. This is how the texts are. So I swear this last example is not made up. So, you know kids. Kids have a tendency sometimes to get a little bit chubby. So if a kid appeared to be a little bit too fat or too chubby or a little bit limp, they were thought to lack some of the vertebrae from the spine. And once this malady was noticed, what you ought to do was finding a donkey. Stay with me, a donkey. And then you will grab the donkey's ear and whisper to the donkey, like the donkey whisper, the infant's vertebral deficiency in order to prevent the infant's death. That's everything you have to do. What does the donkey do, you might ask? I have no idea. I have definitely not idea. That is the donkey's business. Yeah. Oh, also another kind of magic, the supplicatory one, is just consists on begging the supernatural forces they do something for us. And funnily enough, there's 2 ways of begging. One is seducing them, and the other one is making them extremely angry and pissed. Which I honestly don't know what you want to do that for, but hey, each to their own. People. So guys, that was it for today. This was today's live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in with me. I hope you really like this topic. I am a very, very big lover of magic in medieval ages, and I hope I have transmitted to you just a tiny bit of how interesting this area is and how much there is still to do. There is so much to do. Thank you, Lucas. I really like that you enjoyed it. Thank you, Licked Wisdom. I really do enjoy your company too, and I'm really happy you liked it. So yeah, that was it for me. Thank you guys. I'm very glad you liked it. Also, before we leave, thank you to all the people who subscribe to my channel or to via Amazon Prime or just regular, oh picture you are here, or just a regular subscription. Remember, if you're doing this by Amazon Prime, you need to renew the subscription if you want to support me one more month. Also, a very warm hug and very warm appreciation note to my patrons who make these possible. Actually, thank you Aina, Angel, Lucas, David, Nadim and Juanje, who are bucking me up. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. I hope you have a very fantastic week, and I'll see you guys soon. And you know, please stay safe and stay hydrated, for example, because I always say stay safe. So now we're gonna go with something else. Stay hydrated.